Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This is part 2. This is numbers 10 through 1, the actual top 10 of the more affordable large size notes that you could add to your collection. Affordable large size notes, I didn't want to call them the cheapest notes because, well, they aren't exactly the cheapest, but I went through my box at the bank, and these were the notes that I pulled out. Like I said, I started my first go through, I found like 16, so I went through a second time and pulled out 4 more to get me to 20. I found it easier to add 4 notes to make it 20 rather than remove 6 notes and only make it 10. But I took care of numbers 20 through 11 last week. This week we're doing numbers 10 through number 1, and I want to thank Evan Block for the suggestion. Number 10 on my list, I have another CSA. This is a Confederate States of America $100 bill. It's an 1862 $100 bill. And you can see the numbers are handwritten on here. The signatures are hand signed. Those are actual signatures on the bill. This particular one had interest paid in 1864 at Jackson, Mississippi, I believe that would be. So yeah, why do I find this note interesting? Even October 1862 is handwritten. 1860 isn't, but October and the 2 from 1860 is. Now, this particular note fascinates me because according to the book, it starts out at less than face value. Now, of course, you can't redeem it anywhere, and you haven't been able to redeem it for 160 years. But anytime I find a note that's less than face value, I find that interesting. This particular note starts off around 55 bucks. Being a $100 note that you can get for $55, I'd call that an affordable note, even though it is the second CSA I've got on this list. The first one I had, that was just a note that basically everybody should have, and this note I found interesting because of the denomination specifically. Anyway, that's number 10. Number 9. From 1918, this is a $1 national currency. This is a Federal Reserve Bank note. This particular note is from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Now, national currency notes are interesting. They printed 2 types of national currency. Federal Reserve Bank notes were printed on national currency paper. You can see here it says national currency there. And then they also printed national bank notes, where an individual bank would have to get a charter number, and then their particular bank would be listed on the note. This particular one, like I said, Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Now, this particular note is cool. It is known as the Flying Eagle. So there's a Flying Eagle penny, and there's also a Flying Eagle dollar. The $1 note from 1918. Now, this particular note is very affordable as well, starting off around $90. So you can find one in a little bit worse shape than this for $90. This one here I paid $130, $120 or something like that. It says $130 on the back, so I'm assuming I got it for a little cheaper than that. But anyway, for starting around $90, you too can have a Flying Eagle. That's number 9 on my list. Number 8. I always like to see graded notes. Even though it's not the greatest, it's graded at 25. A 1923 $1 legal tender. Now, legal tender notes, remember, are also called United States notes. A law was passed to make them legal. That law has since been repealed, so this is no longer considered currency, even though red seals will still be passed around and spent on occasion. You get lucky and find them at a bank every once in a while. 1923 $1 legal tender. Take a peek at the back. Pretty nice. I like how that looks like a bunch of gears there. To me, that's just really cool. This particular note, the red seal is what makes this interesting. A lot of people have seen the blue seal, which is a silver certificate. This being a legal tender, slightly different. This one starts off at about 150. But like I said, most people see the blue seal. They don't see the red seals. So that makes this a little bit more desirable. And yeah, 150 isn't cheap, but it is still an interesting note to add to the collection. That is number 7. 10, 9, 8. Nope, that's number 8. Number 7. Number 7, I'm going with a $2 bill. This is the mini porthole, $2 mini porthole. This is from 1899. This bill is the replacement for the educational series, so they came up with it fairly quickly, and it's a pretty intricate design, so it's pretty impressive. You get George Washington there in what looks like a mini porthole. It is a silver certificate. You can see the blue seal. You can see the blue digit over here. Looking at the back, that's what you got there. And yeah, this particular one does have a tape mark here, and it has the standard torn corner that you find on most $2 bills. The other corners are all intact. And I did tell that story last week, so I won't repeat it again. But the $2 bill from 1899, let's see if I can see that right in here somewhere. There it is. Act of August 4th, 1886 is what that says. And then over here, series of 1899 right underneath there. Yep. So the 1899 $2 bill, $2 silver certificate. This particular note you can probably find for around $175, $185. This one I think I picked up for about $100 just because of the condition it was in. And because I've got one, I've never really tried to hunt out another one. Like I said, I collect a type set, and if I found a better one for a decent price, I'd probably scoop it up, but I'm just not actively looking for it because, like I said, I've got one. Once I've got one on the list, then upgrading it kind of goes to the back burner while I try to I try to pick up other stuff that I don't have. Anyway, $18.99 $2 note, $2 silver certificate. You're talking, like I said, about $175, $185 on that particular one. A little bit less if you find it in lesser condition. Now, the next note I've got, number 6 on my list, is a 1907 $5 note. This one is a legal tender note. You can see it says United States up there on the top, legal tender for $5. This is the wood chopper. Now, the wood chopper, a very cool note. One of the few notes that features a dog. There's the wood chopper. He's got his axe, he's got his dog, his wife, his baby, his cabin. There's his gun. He's got everything he needs. The wood chopper note, take a look at the back. Very interesting note, very iconic note. One of the favorite notes for people to collect. So this is a note that I'd expect that would go up in value over the long haul. The only thing that would prevent it from going up is the number of notes that are out there. I don't have info on the number of notes that are out there, but based on the price, I'm fairly certain that these are easy to get a hold of. Nonetheless, still an iconic note. You can find these starting about $120. So that makes these fairly interesting and fairly easy to get. So I would definitely recommend a 1907 wood chopper. That is number 6. Number 5 is a 1907 wood chopper. Yes, my 1907 wood chopper takes up 2 spots. It takes up the number 6 spot and the number 5 spot. Why? Well, that's the number 6 spot. The number 5 spot has to do with the back of this particular note. Now, if I recall, I've got these backwards. Sure do. For all debts, public and private. I'm going to zoom in as close as I can there. Hopefully it doesn't go out of focus. But on this public, if I remember, see the U? That looks like the word public. No doubt about it. However, if I was to look at the other note, if I look at the U, it's actually broken. The plate cracked. And instead of PUB, it actually says PCB. So that is what's known as the public error. So yeah, you want to get yourself a wood chopper that's done the correct way. And you also would like to pick up one that has the public error. Now, once again, here's these two again. You can see the U is solid. And on this one, you can see the U looks like a C instead of a U because the plate cracked there. So that's the variant there. And that's why it takes up spots number 6 and 5 on my list. You want one of each. The thing is, that error is fairly common, so the price isn't even differentiated in the price guides. So I'd have to assume that they're still both roughly starting at $120. Makes them fairly easy to add to your collection, and a good reason to have 2 of the same note. Have one of each type. Number 4 on my list. Number 4 is a little bit more expensive. This particular one is an 1891 $1 Treasury note. Now, a Treasury note, you'll notice, isn't a silver certificate, so it's not backed by silver. It's not backed by gold. It's not a legal tender. It is backed in coin, but it doesn't specify. It just simply says that the Treasury has enough coin, generic coin, to cover it, whether that be gold, silver, copper, platinum, whatever, they've got enough to cover it, so they just put in coin. So the 1891 $1 Treasury note, definitely an interesting note. Now, this particular one, it does have minor rust on it. It's not in the greatest of shape, being a 15, but these start off somewhere around, where is it, $165. So for $165 to get a Treasury note, like I said, it's not a gold certificate, not a silver, not a legal tender. It's a Treasury. It's not a Federal Reserve note. It's not a national bank note. It is its own type of note, a Treasury note. And this particular one is probably the cheapest Treasury note you're going to find at $165. So that one is number 4 on my list. Number 3, getting a little bit older, 1886 $1 silver certificate. It's my Martha Washington note. Now, this one is graded at 15. The 1886 silver certificate featuring Martha Washington. This is the first note to feature an actual woman on the note. Now, there have been depictions of women, but not actual women. This is the first note to actually have a real woman on it. Martha Washington made the cut there. Now, this particular one, 1886, if I remember right, has what's known as the greenback, where it is highly dense green colored. I believe starting in 1891, they went to a similar back to this one, where there's a lot more white. You can see the difference in the two, the greenback versus the white back like that. Now, the Martha Washington note from 1886, this particular note starts off at roughly $225. So this starts up as one of the higher price notes on my list, but it is definitely an iconic note because it features Martha Washington. So yeah, large size note, little bit pricey, but when you consider all things considered, worth putting in your list. That was number 3. Number 2. From 1899, this is my $1 Black Eagle. $1 Black Eagle, very popular note. You see a lot of these around there. It's the only note to feature 2 presidents. You've got Lincoln and Grant on this particular note. $1 Black Eagle from 1899, very iconic looking note. Very cool note. You want to try to find one of these in a little bit better condition because there are so many out there. It's fairly easy to pick one up in rough condition, and because of that, you can find these for roughly $100 in rough condition, but just for a little bit more you can get one that's in decent shape. Still, such an iconic note for about $100, definitely a must-have in your list. So that was number 2. What did I choose for number 1? Any guesses? See if you agree, see if you don't agree. A lot of you may have chose this one as number 1. I went with this one. This is a 1922 $10 gold certificate. It's a large size $10 gold certificate. In my mind, I always think this is the Charlie Brown note. For some reason, I always get the impression that this is Charlie Brown at a glance. I don't know if it's the black and white with the gold and then seeing the big head. And he's not even bald. That's the thing. I don't know why it is. Anyway, $10 gold silver certificate, or $10 gold silver, $10 gold certificate from 1922, has the bright orange on the back as well. And to get a large size gold certificate from the last year that they made the gold certificates, you'd think this would be a really expensive note. I mean, come on, like I said, large size gold certificate. Last year they had them. This has got to be expensive, right? No, you can find these for as little as $125. $125, and you're walking away with a $10 gold certificate from 1922. I mean, this is going to be 100 years old in a few months. So that's pretty impressive. And ultimately, that's why I gave it the nod to number 1. It's a higher denomination, being $10, compared to all the other notes on this list, that is. The lowest denomination of a gold certificate. It is just about a century old. And it's a gold certificate. I mean, so many different things going for this particular note. That's why I decided to give this one the nod at the number 1 spot. All right, so that is my top 10/20 inexpensive large size notes that you should probably have in your collection. If you agree with my list, go ahead and leave a like. If you have other suggestions, please put them down in the comments so everybody else can take a look at them too. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and Evan, thank you again for suggesting this list. I hope a lot of people try to pick up these notes and add to their collections. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you again next week.